record. I recommend you hit record from the get-go because sometimes there's pure gold that you're like, oh, why wasn't I recording? So lessons learned. Always record. You can always cut and edit later.
Okay.
Or that also means you potentially have leverage in when it comes to contract negotiations. Eric, remember when you said this thing and you thought we were offline? I want $12 million a year.
Okay, that'll work.
I'd be like, go ahead and sue us. That will cost us less.
Oh my goodness. All right, people. So Coach Elle here with the first official episode of Beast Feast.
Sorry, go ahead. It's your show. I'm sorry. Sorry.
It's killing me. What do you want to say? Say it, and then.
I was gonna say, like, the first one was like a warm up.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a warm up. It was like a trial run, and it received rave reviews. People could not get enough.
I was gonna be like, it was number one of the podcast.
Of Eleanor Beatrice Wells.
Not Beatrice. All right, people. We're doing it again. We're trying this again. It is Coach Elle here with the first official episode of Beast Feast, the new official podcast of the Fairwinds CrossFit Beasts. So we had a little trial episode where we took over grounds after rounds, and it was, very quickly the number one.
I don't like the word takeover. I don't like that. I said, hey, actually, well, I guess it was kind of a takeover because like, hey, we should totally do one. And you were like, and then Julie and Anna were like, I want to be on it. And you're like, how about an all girls episode? I was like, okay. I guess they are taking over. So yeah, I guess takeover is a good word to use.
That's what Jack called it, or like guest episode, I guess.
Yeah, no takeover. It was a hostile takeover nonetheless.
Anyways, so we're very excited. I figured what better way to start off this official podcast than with the man with the great hair that started this all, Coach Eric. Welcome to the show.
You know what's funny? I was just thinking about it today. I feel like we haven't talked about my hair enough on past podcasts.
Well, we can give you a moment here. Do you have some things you want to say about your hair?
I did. I just worked out, and do you see this? Do you see this? You see this? It's all about having a routine, just like working out, just like your nutrition, just like your mental health, just like brushing your teeth. It's all about a routine, and this is probably the most consistent routine I have in my life.
Well, you got to start small.
That's a lot of hair. I wouldn't say that's small.
I know, but it's a small goal to have great hair.
It is.
But you're doing great. So
I grew it myself.
Oh, so proud of you. Anyway,
you hear that rain?
I mean, I know it's raining. I can't hear it where you are.
It's so loud in here. Okay, good. Well, if you can't hear it, perfect. Continue.
Okay, I think it'll be okay. Eric, we just wanted to, of course, have you on and hear a little bit about how Beasts all got started and how we got to this point where we now have 2 coaches, a podcast. I feel like Beasts has really just blossomed into quite the feast recently, and you got it all started. So
that was some beautiful alliteration there.
Welcome.
Blossomed into this beautiful beast. Buffet of beasts.
Buffet of beasts. That's a good way to put it. So you, like me, I believe the first CrossFit class you coached was teens, or no? Am I getting that storyline?
No, it was not. It was not.
Okay.
So you could go like way far back into my very long list of jobs I've ever had. I say this jokingly, but also say this very seriously. I got my associate's degree in community college. I took a semester at Maryland. I don't have my bachelor's degree. I was never the strongest student. I'd love to say it was because I had ADHD and I didn't get really diagnosed with it or even realize it until I was like 30-something. And so I didn't even start taking anything until I was like 30-something. And then I started taking something. I was like, ooh, I like this, but I also don't love it. And so I actually stopped taking it because I feel like I've come to accept that like my ADHD to be more precise, I think is what actually allows me to be the best version of me, the version of me that I like. There are things where having someone like you or having someone like Jack that has a much more structured, organized, like hierarchical like thinking process of how to take what's important and kind of go down the line from there. Having a partner like you, whether it's with the business, whether it's with Beasts, whether it's as a wife, Megan, not you, of course, just making that clear. Like I've actually always found that's always helped complement me. Yes, it comes with its frustrations on both ends. Sometimes I want to be like, dude, loosen up. And sometimes I know you, Jack, or Meg, want to be like, dude, tighten up.
Never.
So what I was getting at is, again, that's where it goes. That's what happens. I have had a lot of jobs. And not because I wasn't good at keeping a job and was getting fired. I had this thing and I enjoyed it. And then it led me into this other thing that I enjoyed. And so it was kind of this like gradual climb up this ladder as I developed so many great experiences and learning experiences and lessons learned, what works and what doesn't work. And so like my first job was actually working at a Blimpies TCBY. Do you remember Blimpies? I don't know. I don't even know if they're around anymore, but it was like a Subway, like sandwiches.
Then no.
And yeah, I was 15 or 16. But it was basically like a Subway, and then there was a TCBY. Do you know TCBY?
Yeah, the ice cream.
The yogurt, the country's best yogurt. It was Froyo. It was Froyo before Froyo was cool. Just FYI. Like TCBYs were everywhere before Menchie's and
Menchie's closed, by the way. Did you know that?
Closed like all together or just that location?
No, just that Pearl.
You know, I have no idea. So yeah, it was Froyo before Froyo was Froyo. Just FYI.
Okay.
So that was my first job, and if anything, like that was my first experience in like customer service. You know, like you have to deal with some. You get to meet a lot of really nice people. You meet a lot of people that you'll never think of twice, and you'll meet a lot of people that are just rude and in their own world, and you are beneath them. And so I had plenty of experiences there. I had managers that, like, fun story, they would be like, all right, I gotta run out real quick, I gotta make a delivery. And I'm like working with my brother, it's like, do we do deliveries? And how can I put this? She was delivering herself to someone else, and she was usually back in about 2 hours. You catch my drift? Just
leave it at there.
Okay, good. Okay, so that was interesting. But from there, like, I worked in a daycare, so I was working with kids.
Okay.
It was actually at a Gold's Gym. I worked at a day camp coaching. It was ages 5 to 12. It was a basketball camp, but it was also very much like a day camp. So basketball was the focus, but there was like arts and crafts and all this other stuff you got to do. So it was a full day during the summer. I worked at the Truxton Park pool, which majority of the day was day camps. I never taught swim lessons or anything like that, but I was always out and about playing with the kids, hanging out with the kids. So early on, I was working with kids, teenagers, the young adults, if you will. And it always just kind of stemmed from there. And so those were always my first few jobs. And when I started the community college, I started with elementary education as my focus. But like I said, I wasn't the best student. And it was hard for me to really latch on to something. If I wasn't really enjoying it, it was really hard for me to latch on. Shocker, who doesn't do that? And so I kind of bounced around a bit from job to job, but something always brought me back to doing something with kids. And so fast forward a little bit, I started doing CrossFit at CrossFit Old Bay in 2013, 2014, somewhere around there. And I had been doing it for about 6 months and just loved it. And prior to doing CrossFit, I was a spinning instructor. So that's, short story, that's how I got into the fitness industry. I became a spinning instructor. And so I knew someone who worked with the Annapolis Junior Rowing Club, who their winter training was at Pitt Moyer Recreation Center off of Hilltop. And the Annapolis Junior Rowing team would do their winter training there, except they had twice as many athletes as they had ergs. So half the team would be rowing, and the other half the team would be working in the spinning studio, just riding the bikes. So they would just like randomly ride bikes. And so because I knew someone that worked for the city, because I worked for the pool for so many years, they found out I was a spinning instructor. They said, hey, there's this team here that really wants something to do on those bikes. I know you're a spinning instructor. Would you like to do that? Hell yeah, awesome. That would be great. So I was doing CrossFit. I was working at the spinning studio, or I was working with AJR. And Ellen, who owned CrossFit Old Bay, came up to me one day and said, asked if I'd ever thought about coaching. And I kind of laughed, and I think a lot of people give this like responses like, you see the scores I put up, you see how much I scale everything. You really think I'd be a great coach? And she said that, and she said the best athletes don't always make the best coach. Because a lot of times the best athletes didn't necessarily have to go through the struggles and the progressions and the work that it took to get to this thing. Like, how long is it taking you to get to a pull-up? And how hard have you been working on getting a pull-up?
I've been trying to do it since like my freshman year of college, and we had to do them during our team workout tests. Like, it's been like, what, 7 years? Like,
yeah. And like, how much have you learned like different ways to like strengthen your pull-ups and work pull-ups and technique in pull-ups? And so like all this stuff, and you're still like working on it, but you've gained so much knowledge that you now are going to be able to share with the beasts. And so that was her point. She's like, you've come a long, long way. No. Are you putting up the best scores? No. But you've learned a lot, and you've learned how it is a process. And so she was like, I want you to be a coach because of that. But what I really want is you to become a coach so that maybe we can start a kids program. Because she used to have a kids program. I think Nicole actually started it.
Nicole Ryan?
I think she did, yeah. I can't remember if it was her or Carrie. So I think it was Nicole Ryan. Because that's where I met Jack, was at Old Bay. And then they left, moved on to start Move, Learn, Succeed. And she had reached out to me eventually to eventually start doing a kids program. And so, but to get my CrossFit Kids certification, I had to have my level 1. And so the goal was get your level 1, start coaching adult athletes. Then once you get used to coaching, then we'll start talking kids. So that was kind of a long way to it. But like I said, it wasn't as simple as I just started coaching kids. It's kind of something I've been doing for, I started working with kids when I was like 16, and now I'm 36. So it's been a long road.
That's longer than some of the beasts.
Yeah, thanks. I know. But it's like, and I'm still figuring this stuff out, Ellie. Like, it's still like a work in progress every day.
Yeah, I think that's great. Like, I know that like you feel like that was a long-winded answer, but I feel like your kind of storyline with having all these different experiences that got you where you are, like, has definitely been really helpful for me, as like I've gone through that phase of life of like trying to figure it out, and like hearing that, because I think so often like all you really hear about is like people pick one path and then they just do that for their job, and like that's not really reality. And like when I was in high school, I thought that everyone just kind of like went to college and then got a job, and like you just picked one path and you stuck with it, and like have been figuring out now that that's definitely not the case for most people, and people just don't talk about it as much. And so I think it's good to share that with these guys.
Yeah, I think
it definitely takes figuring it out.
And how many people go to jobs and they have all the educational, like they have this amazing resume of education, but then the job is like, we're looking for someone with more experience. Well, how the heck are you supposed to get experience if you put all the time into the education that you need? And so it's really a double-edged sword, because there's also a lot of jobs that I've applied for in the past, and like, well, you need a college degree. Or it's like, or to get further up in it, you need to have a college degree. And so it is a double-edged sword. And so it takes a lot of, like I said, in these jobs, I mean, I worked at Blimpies, I worked at camps, I worked at Starbucks, I worked for a trucking brokerage company. I've done real estate appraisal off and on. May or may not have been laid off a couple times by my own dad. But again, I have no hard feelings toward that. I like to say it as a joke, but I was like low person on the totem pole. It wasn't fair. If he had to cut back, it wasn't fair to keep me over these people that had seniority. So I've never had bad feelings over that. I worked at Under Armour, but like all of those, like, you know, a lot of it was learning how to work with people and learning how to work with all different types of people, how to learn to work with different types of people in different types of situations. And then just being of service to other people, like all of those jobs. Like I have so much experience in the service industry that it's like, how does working for a trucking brokerage company to help you develop your skills? Well, like to be as like honest as possible. I don't try to think how to say this nicely, but like some of the truckers, they're not the most educated people that you're ever going to speak with. Let me just put it that way.
Yeah.
And they know roads, they know trucks, they know what they're doing. I mean, when it comes to doing their job, they are experts. And we're like sometimes talking two different languages. And it was just learning how to communicate with someone when you guys aren't on, like, again, speaking the same language, which also helped because I took 4 years of Spanish and sign language. So that helped too.
Sign language with truck drivers?
I love sign language. Yeah.
That's cool. What can you sign?
So I can sign quite a bit. I can fingerspell all day. I think that's the one cool thing about sign language is if you learn your alphabet,
you can always spell it out.
You can always spell it out. And I learned that like a lot of sign language is actually like gesturing, it's placement, it's your expression. So it's so much more body language as well. But actually, yeah, I started learning. One of my closest friends, Sarah, she actually dropped it. So she lives out in Colorado with her husband, but they dropped into class on Friday. I was like, oh, so excited.
That's, cool. That's like a unexpected bonus of this situation, like with different people dropping in from other areas. I think. Cool.
Carrie Ann dropping in the other day.
Yeah.
So much fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But anyway, so you are at Old Bay, you're going to the kids and then the teens there eventually, and then how do you kind of get hooked up with Jack, get it going with the Beasts in the garage, or how did they themselves arise?
So I've been doing teens. I've been doing a teens class and a kids class at Old Bay. And then even when I can't remember if I started it before or after Shannon took over with TrueCore. It may have been just before, but Jack was coaching Matt and Josh's basketball team. And like Matt, Josh, Colin, Max, who else is on that team? Like Tommy, like, I mean, a lot of the kids that you've seen in here, and then some that are kind of in and out, we're all on that basketball team, and Jack wanted something to do with them during the week. And so he was in the garage. He's like, hey, how do you feel about running? Like I said, Jack left Old Bay, but he and I were always talking back and forth. I always kind of looked at Jack as like a mentor. Like, he'd been doing this for a long time. He's wicked smart. He just always like knows the right thing to say, and just and so whenever I had questions about whether it was CrossFit or like working with people or working with people that I was struggling with, Jack was always like my go-to, because he was really good at looking at things from an objective side of things. Jack and I kept in great touch after he left Old Bay. And so he had reached out to me, wanted to do this thing in his garage. And he's like, I love kids. I love my kids. He goes, I want to do this thing, and I'm not sure I have the patience and energy to do it myself. Would you like to do this with me in my garage? Because it was going to be like 12 kids in his 400 square foot garage. Yeah. The one that you guys have been seeing on Zoom. And so I was like, heck yeah, let's do this. They were doing that 2 days a week. When the basketball season ended, we enjoyed it so much. So I was like, hey, why don't we just make this like a Saturday morning thing? Because some of the kids still wanted it. They were playing other sports, but then schedules were kind of getting in the way. And so we just kind of kept it running. And then when Jack and I decided we wanted to open a gym, and I was no longer working at TrueCore, it was, hey, I was no longer working at TrueCore. I don't really know if they had a plan to continue running teens. If they did, there was nothing really in place. And it was so abrupt, unfortunately, that like my teens that I had been with for like 2 years at that point almost were kind of like had nowhere to go or like didn't know what to do. And so they asked if I was doing anything, and I said, hey, you know, I was going to start doing something here if you guys want to give it a go. And so like Kaylee and Brennan, I mean, they were the first two to roll in, as they always are. Like Kaylee and Brennan were amazing. And then like Sophia started jumping in here and there. Hugh and Alec, who have always been like, I don't think they've ever seen themselves as little kids, so they always wanted to jump into the big things.
That's awesome.
And so, yeah, it just kind of, it started there, and then we moved into this space. We said right out of the gate, when we moved into this space, there will be, like, I want to do a teens class. Like, that's going to be one of the staples, one of the pillars of our schedule, is just like the 5:15, 6:15 a.m., p.m., and the 5:15, 6:15. Yeah, just like the 5:15, 6:15 a.m. and p.m. teens at 4 o'clock was going to be a staple. It was going to be a pillar in our schedule, and that was like that was going to be a thing. And then there may be some other fluxes and other things here and there, like the 9:30 class, you know, added on, and then it kind of grew, and then we threw in like another Saturday class. But those particular classes, this 5:15, 6:15s, and the teens, are the thing that are like always going to be on the schedule, regardless. Yeah. And so we started doing that, and some days it was maybe a couple kids early on. Some days like no one showed up, but that's the thing. Like you got to start somewhere. He's got to power through. And I honestly, there was one point I was starting to get kind of discouraged, and I almost thought to myself, I was like the teens class is so inconsistent. It has its ebbs and flows. I was wondering if it is even worth it at that point. It was hard. Like we started doing this. We had just had Fiona. Like I was trying to manage, you know, being a stay-at-home dad / a business owner / a husband / a great head of hair, and trying to make all that work at one time.
Stay modest and humble through it all.
Right. And so just trying to make that work. And I was starting to get discouraged. I was like, you know, let me kind of power through and see how this goes over the next few months. And it was almost like from that moment, it started growing. And now I'm talking like 4 to 5 at a time, 6 to 7 at a time. Like I think we now have like close to, I don't know, 15, 18 athletes. I'm not even sure the number at the moment that make their way in here. Some are more consistent than others, but there's always that many kind of like on the roster, which has been.
I mean, yeah, like most of the winter we would definitely have double digits, like most days. Like I remember one day we had like 10 in the gym, and Jack came in and he was like, there's so many of them. And I was like, it's kind of a light day. Like,
yeah, right. Like, yeah, in the winter, like 9 to 10, I'm like, oh, I guess people are taking the day off.
Yeah, you're like, where? I guess we're missing people, but.
Yeah. So it just kind of went from, hey, let's do something with this basketball team. Let's do something with your basketball team. And then it grew into, and when we opened Fairwinds, like it became Creek Monsters. I knew I kind of wanted like this tiered like progression for the kids. So it started like, I was running a class of like 3 to 5 year olds. I was running the kids, and I was running the teens. And I knew I wanted the teens to be called like the Creek Beasts. I wanted that to feel like its own thing as much as I possibly could. Like I want them to feel special. They are just as much a part of Fairwinds CrossFit as the adults are, but they're their own thing. Like I don't want it to be like this mesh together where I never want them to feel like an afterthought. And so like they were going to be called the Creek Beasts, going with our like Creek theme, you know. And then the kids were the Creek Monsters, and then the little kids were the Creek Critters. And so it was this progression of critters, monsters, beasts. And then Creek People, which are the adults, which isn't as cool sounding, but I don't think the adults care as much. And so that was kind of how that progressed. And here we are now. And so we grew, like I said, we grew steadily. And I kind of was I thought about like, I want another coach to like that may want to consider helping with teens, because it was, you know, Jack will always jump in if I need help. He knows that his strength isn't working with, he thinks his strength isn't working with kids. Jack is fantastic with kids. When we were in that garage, and like the way that, like when the kids got really rowdy, the way that he would bring them all back, and like there would be the moments where they would just start to be like super disrespectful. And it's like, oh my God, you guys are driving me nuts today. And Jack was so it was like magic, the way he was able to like get them all to chill out, get them to think about stop being a-holes for a minute, and then like be awesome again. And he's so good at that. And he's so good at just like managing the group. So Jack doesn't think he's good with kids. Jack is awesome with kids, but I just don't think and he'll say it, I don't know if he has anything left in his system to run that class with any sort of consistency, because then he may just die, because he's put so much into so many other places. So I never wanted to have to rely on Jack unless I absolutely had to. So we got to the point there were a lot of kids. You know, I was talking about going on a vacation in the summer. I was like, I don't want to cancel teens for a week. I know Jack would step up, but it's also like I don't want to have to put so much on Jack. So I wanted to start figuring out where do we need to be to get a second coach. And we were getting enough kids in here at a time. I was like, okay, we can totally justify having a second coach. And I wanted someone who wanted to work with kids, maybe even had worked with kids before, and someone who like actually wanted to do it. And so you had asked me a while back about working with kids or like working with teens and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't even remember. I was trying to think about that for this. I was like, I don't really remember the first conversation we had about it, or like the first few.
So it was a while ago, and I was like, yeah, cool. Like, and it's kind of one of those, I want to find someone, but I also want them to kind of find me. Because if they find me, then that means that they're probably really into it. And so you asked me a long time ago, I was like, all right, yeah, cool. Like that might be cool. And then it was brought up, and people have done that before, and then they never bring it up to me again. And so it's like, I don't want to have to chase you down. Like, I want you to want to do this. So then a few months later, you would bring up again, maybe not even saying like, hey, and it wasn't like hey, can I coach teens? Can I coach teens? You were telling me like you were doing this with teens. You were doing this with the sailing club, and you're doing this. And then it just kind of progressed, and we kind of started having the conversation a little bit more. So it was you brought it up one time a long time ago, and every once in a while you would kind of bring it up again and bring it up again and bring it up again. And that was my green flag at that, like, all right, like this chica, like is into this, and it's something that I think she would be good at. You being a little bit younger, you may jive with those hip kids a little bit more.
I know the youth.
You know the youth. And then also, like, I mean, honest to goodness, like, I like the idea of having a female with me as well. Because, like, let's be real. Guys and girls go through very different things, very similar, but also very different things in this stage of their life. Yeah. And so, like, all seriousness, one time we were doing sprints. This was back, I think, at Old Bay. We were doing sprints. And one of my athletes, she is awesome, but I'm pretty sure, like, some days she would eat great, and some days she's like, I don't know, she's like, I had a Pop-Tart for breakfast, and I forgot to eat lunch today. I got really busy. And then, like, in the middle of the workout, she looked like she was dying because she hadn't eaten all day. And she never said anything that, like, raised a red flag with me that I was like, should I be concerned about this? And then when she was one of the ones too, like, but when she would eat, which Anna did one time, like, Anna did it with fettuccine Alfredo, or not fettuccine Alfredo.
Lasagna? No.
What did she eat for that rowing workout?
Shoot. It was some sort of pasta. Well,
yeah, some sort of pasta. She ate like an hour before the workout. But this one, she ate she crushed Chipotle, like 30, like on the way to the workout, and then looked like she was going to barf. But this one day she stopped and said she kept cramping up. And I was like, how much water have you drank today? And blah, blah, blah. And she was kind of like, I've drank some water. And she's kind of being sheepish about it. And I was like, are these like, and this is exactly what I asked her, are these like dehydrated cramps or girl cramps? Oh and she goes, girl cramps. I was like, oh, okay. Go ahead and take a breath. This is the only time you get to use that. And I like said it jokingly, like, it's the only time you get to use this to get out of a workout.
Until
I was kidding. But it was like, I mean, I'm glad I asked that question, because I was like, oh, well, let me stop trying to fix this thing that really, like, it's just part of what's going on with her day at the moment.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if like maybe there's a better way that I could have asked her that, but like I feel maybe, I don't know. I'm glad I asked her because like I said, now I understand there's this thing going on that I can't really fix in the moment. It's just if you need to take a break, take a break. If you want to get back into it, get back into it. If you're just feeling so awful and you need to take the day off, take the day off. And so I'm glad, I'm not afraid to have that conversation with any. If one of the ladies came up to me and wanted to have that conversation because they needed to, totally fine. I'm totally comfortable with it. I have a wife, I have a daughter, but they may not be comfortable coming
As
to
comfortable.
me.
Yeah.
So having another female presence means like, if that's something they need to talk about, I want them to be comfortable enough in this space to have someone to talk to with about it.
Yeah.
And so,
and not just with that, but like with all things. And like, I feel like we were talking about that. And I think I told you this story, like with sailing, like growing up, like I only ever had male coaches until my sophomore year of high school. And we had 2 male coaches and 1 female coach. And I still talk to her like monthly. Like I was so like, she was everything. Like, I'm not saying like people, the V should think this of me, but I just remember like how much that changed how I viewed the sport. Like I could go to her with questions about sailing, or I would go to her to questions about school or like life, and like just had this like mentor figure that like was more relatable to me. And like I got along really well with my male coaches too, and there's some of them that I'm still like in contact with, but it was a very different like relationship.
It's
and
a different dynamic. Yeah.
And I hope that like, I mean, if like, I think I've been trying to like make this clear to all of our athletes of like, yeah, like I'm here for them, like with, you know, it doesn't need to just be like a gym related question. Like I think we're both like here to support them and like help them with whatever they need in life that we can offer reasonably with our
and it's and I also right there's certain like lines, like there's certain times they start talking about their weekend. I was like, la 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 la, I don't want to hear that. You're pure and innocent. You're pure and innocent. La 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 la.
That's what I say to like, I mean, the sailing kids I've coached too, I'm always like, hi, remember, like I have to be an adult and there's things I have to repeat. Like say certain things.
If I hear the wrong thing, I might have to tell somebody about it. I don't want to hear it. La, 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 la.
Like, don't make me liable.
Yeah, right. And so especially the seniors, I'm like, seniors, stop. Stop talking about things.
Stop talking. So funny.
But
no, I think it's quite.
And if any parents of Beasts are listening to it, it's not your kid.
I don't know. I mean, but
it's always like to share is like, hey guys, I never had a sip of alcohol until I was 24 years old, so you can wait too.
Yeah, and you really didn't. You're not just saying that.
I'm not just saying that. Really didn't. Yeah. And I think I tied it into. Was I talking to you about it the other day? Who was I talking to? Where I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, oh, I wonder if this is why I never did, because my parents had those like, what are they, carafes of like liquor sitting on the buffet in our dining room.
Okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Which is like the whitest thing I may have ever said.
I mean, I think we also have that. Like,
yeah. We're both very white. But they had that, and I remember seeing that, and I asked my mom what it was. And I think my dad said it was gasoline. And my mom told a story about, this friend of ours one time was drinking that while I was working on his car, and the car fell on him and he died. And like, that was I was like,
scare tactic parenting.
Alcohol is bad. And so I think my mom just like struck the fear of Roxanne in me from a really early age. To where even like my brother Michael, yes, his cognitive development is a little bit stunted due to having Williams syndrome, but he's really funny that he's 40 years old, and if I'm drinking a beer, he is judging the bejesus out of me now. So he's like, beer is bad. I was like, that's right, Michael, it is. You tell the kids.
No, but that's good advice that you can give them. I think too, you probably also didn't, because like you're such a personable person and so like chatty with people that you were like very comfortable in all social situations.
I was already fine. I don't know. I don't know. I was always fine.
Anyway. But what were we doing before this? Oh yeah. So then I just kept bringing it up, and then I think we decided like around right before Thanksgiving that we would get going with me interning in December, and then I did my level 1 in January. It was already so long ago. It's so crazy.
I know, right? Before you know it, you're gonna be like, oh, I've been doing this for 7 years.
I hope I can keep doing this.
7 years.
7 years later. And yeah, I did level 1 in January. I had, what do we call it, party week when you were gone. We're on your ski trip.
Yes, that's what it was.
Where I just really jumped into
They
the
were
fire.
just swinging from the rafters for that week.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was so crazy. And like, I feel like I'll talk about this more at some point on this podcast, but like that week was so exhausting. Like ask Shelly. Coach Shelley was coaching your 5:15 after the first night on Monday. And I was planning on staying and working out. And she was like, oh, are you staying? And I like apparently like very glassy eyed was like, no, I gotta go home. Like it was so like emotionally and mentally draining the first time I just like did it fully on my own. But I like that we have.
How many you had that day? How many athletes were here that day?
Like 8 or 9. I mean, like a lot. Yeah.
All of them. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Coach Eric's not here. We're all going.
Yeah. Basically what the whole week felt like. But where is it going with that? No, I think that's why I like the balance we have now of like doing like the assistant days. I mean, it's different with the Zoom stuff, but the assistant days and then like the me leading, you kind of hanging out day, because I think that, like we were talking about at the beginning, I think that really plays on both of our strengths. Like, I think that you're better at that, like bigger picture, like big energy. And like, I'm much more like one-on-one and like personable and like work really actively to be better at the big picture.
Yeah. And it's, and the purpose behind that too, though, is also like, I could just say, you're going to coach this class. So we're going to start you in 1 class a week and then we'll go from there. But like there's only 4 Beasts class a week. And you can read every article that the journals put out there. You can read every level 1, level 2, level 3 manual. And you're going to learn a lot from those. But the only way you're going to really get, I'm not going to say the only way, to get better at coaching, you have to coach, right? Like just to get better at rowing, you have to row. To get better at pull-ups, you have to do pull-ups. And so even you by being as the assistant, like it still gives you the, if anything, it's that, you can kind of see how I roll through class. I don't want you to do things exactly like me. I want you to be you, which you are very good at doing. But it's also giving you just more time under tension, if I can use a fitness term, I guess you could say. But like it gives you a little extra time to actually coach, to actually see, to actually cue, to correct, and kind of develop your, like, put tools in your tool belt, figure out like what's going to work and what's not going to work for you. Because it may work for me, but it may not work for you, and vice versa. Like there's times you've said stuff. The 9 3/4 thing was awesome to get Anna out the wall. Like that was, I was just like, so good.
Literally just because I just watched Harry Potter, like the teacher.
Yeah. I was like, just send it, you know, and she went for it and it was awesome. And so like little things like that, you kind of develop your own style. And so if I limited you to coaching 1 class a week, but also like figuring it out for yourself, I didn't want to just throw you in the deep end and say, figure out how to swim, you know? And so I like the assist side of it as well, because it gets you more time to actually do these things and develop as a coach, which I think worked out because I ended up going away for a week a lot sooner than I anticipated. And you didn't burn the place down. If anything, it was lit, but you didn't burn it down. I'm cool.
You using the words of the teens. Oh my gosh.
So,
cool.
Yeah.
I think it's exciting. I'm glad that, I mean, I'm very glad to be here. And I joke and it sounds dramatic, but I do really feel like getting involved with the Beasts and coaching like did change my life in such like a powerful way. Like it very quickly became like my favorite part of the week, like what I was looking forward to most and like what I enjoyed. And like, it's really helped me kind of figure out my path as we were talking about.
I know, right? Like it's you know, you can have this plan to where you're going to go, but like, just like anything else, like it's not linear. It's not what you expect it to be. There's gonna be a lot of ups and downs. And you may actually realize like, oh, I kind of like this thing that I found in my down, and it becomes this new path. And honestly, like that's what CrossFit was for me. And that's what like working with teens was for me, is I I started CrossFit. Never in my mind did I think that I would coach CrossFit. And then 6 months later, I'm asked if I would coach CrossFit. And I started like coaching teen athletes. And honest to goodness, like I'd worked with kids before, but this is a much different, like this wasn't playing with kids. This was like, I'm in charge of making sure these, people are ready to do whatever they need to do. And you and the girls touched on it last week, where it's kind of cool. It's this mix of people that play sports and people that don't play sports. And so if anything, it's just, if they get anything out of this, it's developing like the understanding that fitness needs to be an important part of your life. It needs to not be this afterthought. It needs to not be this thing that you sometimes do, you sometimes don't. Like there needs to be some consistency in your routine, because fitness is a very important aspect of your growth, of your health, of your development, physically, mentally, emotionally. And I feel like we've kind of developed that really nice, like, I mean, Sophia's just a freaking athlete. Like, I mean, she's
all three of them are.
Yeah. And Sophia, like she was always kind of like my gym monkey, and that I was like, hey, try this thing. And she does it, right? Like try a 1 arm muscle up. And she's like, and she's so darn close. You know what I mean? And, but she's so humble and she's so coachable, because she wants to be better at these things, not just to be better at CrossFit, but she knows it's going to make her better in so many other things, especially her sport of soccer. She's going to be a Division I soccer player. Like that's a big deal. And then I think of someone like Megan Barnes. So wait till they start to graduate. You're going to be like, you're going to be so sad. Like it's so.
I already feel like that. Like I feel like, I mean, especially with the seniors this year, like it's like maybe like
right.
We're going to get them a little bit in the summer at this point. Like.
And I see someone like, like Megan Barnes, who like, she's always been outgoing and she's always been fun. But I saw this, and this goes for a lot of athletes. I'm just thinking of Megan in particular, because I had her for 3 years. Her confidence shot up. Like she just was a different human being in like the way she presented herself, the way she walked into a room. And then like watching her do improv, like that was so much fun for me, because I'm not sitting there thinking like, oh, CrossFit did this for her.
No,
but the
like
way she felt like she was running the show, like she was in charge, and so many people like fed off of her, and she was so natural at it. And if you had told me when I first met her that was going to be her 3 years later, I'd have been like, this Megan, really? Because she's funny, but she's kind of like, yeah, whatever you guys want to do. I mean, she took charge, but in such a not in like a domineering way. And so seeing her and so just seeing the path that they all end up taking and where they were when they started and how they get there is so freaking cool. And,
I think, and I mean, like we said, we touched on it like last week a little bit, and like this is, something I hope to kind of make a another like a reoccurring theme maybe on this podcast, and like or an episode in of itself, of like, I was really lucky to be in competitive sports in high school and sail in college at a high level, and there's so many amazing great like things of that experience that I'm so grateful for. And there are also a lot of really negative things like that, I associate with that and that level of like sport. And like, I think that the thing that's so amazing about Beast is it's all the benefits of like a team sport. It's all the benefits of being active and having structure and having goals that you're trying to achieve, but in a space that's truly so, like, I hate the word like safe space, but it's such a safe space where like everyone, no matter where their background is, no matter their different level of ability in the gym, no matter what school they go to, what age they are like very supportive of each other. And Anna said it, like there's no benefit for putting someone else down. Like,
that was so beautifully said. When she said that, I was like, I teared up a little bit. I teared up. I was like, oh, that's so beautiful.
It's so true, because like, in like my college lifts, like I would stand there, and if I watched someone that I was like else on the team that usually like I was in line with, like, with, squatting the same amount, if they got a PR in their squat that week and I didn't, I would be like angry at them, and I would be like mad about it, and I would like walk around frustrated. And like, it wasn't just me, like other people did that too. Like there was no like, someone hits a PR, there was no like high-fiving each other. Like there was no like, good for you. It's like, oh, how does this kind of hurting me. But so I think it's really, I mean, and they all are so great at it. I think we also just got really lucky with like a great group of kids too.
It's I don't want to take full credit for it because you're very much a part of it now. Like you've been here for a short time, but it's the culture that we've kind of naturally, from Jack and myself to Mary, Shelley, Amy, and now you, like it's the culture that we have cultivated.
Yeah, created.
Yeah. And so we've had those athletes from, it's been teens, it's been adults that if they're not buying into that, they don't stick around long. If they are the getting pissed because someone lifted more than them or someone got a faster time on this workout or someone's better at them than something, those people weed themselves out pretty quick because they also understand they realize they're never going to be happy because they're always chasing something. But they also realize like if you're not being supportive of other people, then you're going to feel very isolated in here because that's what we want. It's all at the end of the day. I feel like I say at the end of the day a lot. But you're here for yourself, but you're also here for the people that are in here with you. And because it's a community and it's everyone's kind of, and everyone has their own different way. Like Lily is quiet and Lily is yawning all the time because she's sleepy. But she wants to be here and has these flashes. You can tell when she gets excited and you can tell that she gets excited for other people just as much as she gets excited for herself. Caitlin too. Caitlin is fiery. Like she's one too where you get the vibe sometimes like, she would definitely rather be taking a nap right now. I'm not gonna lie. There are plenty of times that I would rather be taking a nap. Yeah. But once you're into it, like, man, just someone lit a fire and went after them. And and then at the end they're like, and you see the intensity in their face. Like they may kill somebody right now. They could kill somebody. And then at the end, they're all high-fiving each other and they're all supportive of each other. And you rarely ever hear them asking each other, well, what did you get? Well, what did you get? It doesn't matter. Like they know it doesn't matter. Like it matters to you as an individual if you're looking to find, this progress down the line. But it's never well, what did you get? Well, I got this. Yeah. You never hear them say that.
Well, it's frustrating that none of them not many of them log anything in SugarWOD, but like I also kind of like it because I'm like, you guys they never care about their score. Like they're just happy when they're done. Like they're like, all right, cool.
They just want to know how long is it supposed to take? It's supposed to take about this long. And if they finish in that time that I give them, cool. Then that was it.
Happy. And they don't
like joy. It's very much like joy. If I say, in this 20-minute AMRAP, you should get 8 rounds. And if by the 18-minute mark she gets 8 rounds, she's like, well, I'm done. You said 8 rounds.
You're like, no, it's 20-minute AMRAP. But no, I mean, it's definitely like the culture. Yeah, it's definitely something you guys have cultivated. It's my favorite thing. Like, and I think that that's what people really take away, especially during this current situation with not being able to be in the gym. Like, people are here for the people.
We almost went a whole episode without talking about. Just kidding.
I thought about it too, but I was like, there's no way to sit. Like, I think it's so great, and like I've heard it from multiple other members, like this week and the past 2 weeks, of like just so grateful that we're doing the Zoom calls and the classes because they're like, I joined Fairwinds and I like or stay with Fairwinds because of the people, not really because of the programming. Sorry, Jack. Like it's like people are here for you guys. People are here for the face-to-face. I mean, me, I guess I should count myself in that, but like, we're all here for the face-to-face. We're all here for the culture and the community and the people. I'm repeating myself, not so much the programming, like especially, and that would be, if people were just here for the programming and for the workout and because they didn't care about people first, everyone would have canceled their memberships and just be working out at home and making up their own thing and finding other free stuff online. But like everyone's still here because of the community aspect of it. Yeah. Like you can work out a lot of places. You can't get the like really special community
that was the goal too. When we knew we were going to close the doors, it was how can we stay as engaged with our community as much as possible? Because there are gyms that just shut their doors and said, we're going to send out a daily WOD every day. Let us know how you do. And those those are the gyms that if this goes on long enough are probably going to have to shut their doors for good, because you're not taking care of the most important part of your gym, those people. And some gyms are doing that, but they are actively engaging with them outside of that, which works. But I've heard from several people, because I'm talking to people like all over the country, like, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing?
Yeah.
What's working? What's not working? And some of those gyms and some of those people are like, yeah, my gym shut down, and they just post a workout of the day every day. And then they say, let us know how you did. Like, it's their job. It's the athlete's job to check in with the coach. And I was like,
which is like, whatever. I mean, it's a choice to be made, but I think obviously the community centric approach is like,
yeah, you gotta be much more active in this situation. So
it's important, like on the business end, and it's important on like the people, client member end, like of like, I think I would be going crazy if we didn't have all this.
And I'll tell you, I'm so proud of our teens in that, I'm not going to lie, I thought to myself, these dudes and dudettes are going to have they're off of school. Like, in a sense, their summer vacation started really early.
Yeah.
So are they really going to commit to being here at 4:00 when they have just had an entire schedule open up? I was like, I'm trying to think of when I was a teen, would I have done that? And, but I didn't have something like this. I think you said this last week, maybe too. God, I wish I had this when I was their age.
Oh my God. That was the first thing I thought. That's what originally drew my interest to this, is like, I
wish I had this when I was their age.
Yeah, I'd see people before 5:15. I was like, I wish I had that. Like,
man, they have shown up in droves.
Yeah.
They have been such a good, they've actually, like, I have not actually run the numbers, Jack's run the numbers. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. But like, the Beast class has probably consistently been like the second biggest class consistently across those 4 days. And it's, and I'm just like so proud of them, because they could easily just say, whatever, like, we'll do it on our own time. Let's not go. They have been showing up, and I am so like full of joy and appreciation and gratitude for them being willing to do that and still willing to be a part of this, even though they could easily be like, I'm going to go and just stop my membership. I've got other stuff I could do, and blah, blah, blah. And so thank you so much, because it's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're here. All right. I came up with my own little like version of like the gratitude thing.
Yeah. What is it? What's going to be your weekly thing? Yeah.
So it's kind of from like my mom. Like, she used to ask me these questions like at night when I was like little, but I kind of changed them a little bit. So it's, what's one thing you're proud of today or this week? What's one thing you're looking forward to in the next week or next couple of days?
Okay.
And then it's one thing you're grateful for.
Okay, so one thing I'm proud of this week, one thing I'm looking forward to next week, and one thing I'm grateful for.
Yep.
Okay, one thing I'm proud of this week, I kind of just said it with the teens. So I'm probably just going to stick with that. I'm very proud of the teens and their effort, the Beasts, and their effort in staying consistent with this. Be consistent. They're appreciated, and like I'm very proud of the effort, and again, that kind of, I'm proud of ourselves for being able to get them to understand that like, this is important to us and it should be important to you, and it is. I'm very proud of them. I'm very proud of us. If that doesn't sound douchey, it just makes me feel, it just kind of, it solidifies that feeling. Is like, cool, we're doing things right, or we're doing things well. And so awesome. This week I am looking forward to, let's see, we're going into April. We're going into week 3 of all of this. We're going to have we're going to have that town hall meeting on Wednesday. I'll put stuff in the newsletter about it on Sunday, in which case by the time this goes out, people will have heard it, and hopefully have read it and responded to it. But I'm really looking forward to that town hall meeting we're going to have on Wednesday, because I'm really looking forward to like really getting some good feedback as to what's working, what's not working, and then hopefully just a lot of pats on the back. Yeah. And then So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to see a lot of faces that I haven't seen in a while.
I know, that's what I'm looking forward to the most, because like there's morning people that I haven't seen and whatnot.
Yeah. And then what was the third one?
Just gratitude.
Gratitude.
I'll use more of it.
This has been a common one for me, but Megan, like she has been working her butt off. Not that she doesn't normally work her butt off, but like work is extremely busy for her right now.
Yeah.
She's working after hours over the last 2 to 3 weeks. She's been working after hours more often and like every single day. I mean, she starts work at 7 a.m. She's supposed to be done by 3:30. She's been going to like 5:30 or 6, which has been hard because I get down here like 3:34. And so she's working, but now she's also got Fiona with her. She doesn't have me to assist, and she's still like trying to get work done. And she's just been, I don't know. I'm very grateful for her and that she's like able to do that. And she's the best. And I'm glad she keeps me around. So
That's sweet. Oh,
yeah.
Guess she'll have to listen to this episode in
She
all
won't.
her free time.
She won't.
Okay. All right. I guess my turn. So I guess I'm proud of doing this week. Like, I think, in the past week we did the episode with Anne and Julia, which went really well. And, I was really honored that Jack thought it was a good idea to keep rolling with this and him as well. But Jack's the one.
Right. That was a joint thing. Like we both were like,
I just got his email before I heard
it. He's good with the emails.
Yeah, I'm really proud of it. Like I'm really like humbled often by like, the positive feedback to me coaching and me being a part of this whole thing. And I guess, so thank you. And then I'm
proud of you too. FYI, I'm proud of you, but you knew that.
I'm looking forward to just nicer weather this week. I think it's supposed to be like 70 degrees tomorrow night and like sunny. And I think we're gonna, I'm quarantining at my parents'. I think we're gonna like, grill out back and like make a fire and do s'mores and stuff. So it's like a little thing, but that sounds really nice for Sunday night. So I'm excited about that. And then just it sounds bad, but I'm excited that time feels like it's passing quickly and that we're on week 3 and like this will be over eventually and we'll all get back to our lives.
Hey, our fearless leader said Easter. Your face.
We're just gonna stay away from that.
The leader of the free world said Easter.
Okay, and the Easter Bunny's real. Sorry, kids. I just ruined the Easter Bunny for anyone. And then what am I grateful for? I'm really grateful for my mom came on the Instagram live with the Beast with me yesterday, kind of an impromptu idea to do a little bit of like mindfulness meditation with them in the afternoon. And it was really cool of her to just be willing to like do that. It ended up being like 30 minutes of her time. I thought it was going to be like 5 minutes, but it also just made me really grateful of like, I just feel I have a really great mom and I'm really lucky that like she's
good people,
put so much in, like she really got into mindfulness and meditation and things like that when I was in high school and then early college, partially for herself, like dealing with a lot of stress, but a lot of it too is like I was a super anxious kid in high school and college, and like I know that a lot of it was to help me, and it was very helpful to me at the time. It's very helpful to me now with all this, and I was really grateful that she was willing to share that with some other teens who may or may not have otherwise had experience with it. So
I said Fiona jumped on for a few minutes. We were watching, and she was talking to you guys, and she has 2 little stuffed reindeers. One is Rudolph, and the other one is Clarice. And she was like kissing the screen with them, and then she would reach in and like smooch the screen, and then she was like,
she saw us.
She saw you, and then she like grabbed what book did she grab? I think it was Corduroy, and then was like reading Corduroy to you guys.
Aww.
And then she kept trying, and then she was like kept trying to like play with the screen and stuff. I was like, all right, I don't want to like interrupt, because I think she was about to like live feed herself, and
that would have been great.
So
especially Fiona.
So he says hi. She was great.
Lovely. Well, on that note, we'll close this thing out and let you get home to your ladies.
Do you have a joke of the day? Are you going to do that, or are we going to keep that exclusive to Gar?
I don't do jokes.
You don't do jokes.
I don't like have one prepared. Maybe
you need a sign off though. You need a sign off.
No, shoot.
You
I
need
should
like
do a
a,
fun fact of the
you need
day.
like a, or even just like a Dubs ouch, or like a, yeah, like a fact of the day, or I don't know.
Maybe
Yeah.
I'll do like a meme of the day. I know I have like once like a funny like meme or tweet thing I saw of the day of
Oh,
the
that'd be good.
episode. I saved
Oh, yeah, maybe do a tweet because it's more, because that way for people that are
it's
listening.
auditory. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Or like
And
a
then,
thing I found on Instagram of the day.
well, now you just went back to visual. Instagram is Twitter for people that can't read.
Well,
Did you know that?
yeah, but it's all okay, here it is. I have it. Make no mistake, dogs are thriving right now. They've planned for this kind of human self-quarantining and social distancing for generations. Truly a golden age for good boys and girls.
That's a good one.
That's what we got. So
That's a good one.
this is the first one I pulled up in my folder, but
That's a
all
good
right.
one.
Thank you. Couldn't imagine a better way to kick this thing off than with that head of hair. So
Oh, again with the hair. Stop. No.
it
More,
looks
please.
great.
More. Awesome. Cool.
All right, Beast. We'll see you off the creek and then hopefully on the creek soon.
Yeah. Let's make it a good one. You guys get your own programming this week too. You get your own programming this week. Back to being special again.
Ooh.
It's gonna be fun.
Cool. I think this will come out Monday once I get all set up with the magic people and the computers and make it published.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, I'm gonna take care of all that today. So perfect. Cool.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna stop recording now. All right. Bye.